If you clicked on this video, you either are new to anime and don't know where to start, or you're already an anime veteran and you have a friend that you want to get into anime. Either way, I can help. Now, I think most people know this, but one of the most important things when you're trying to get your friend or yourself into something is your first experience. In this case, it's gonna be your first anime that you watch that really determines whether you stick with it or not. Because if you watch anime for the first time and it's a terrible experience, it bombs, it's very unlikely that you're gonna stick around, keep watching. That's why picking the first anime is super important. If you have no idea what anime to choose, or if you already do have an idea, still stick around to this video because I'm going to show my criteria for judging if a show is good to show newcomers, like beginners. I think is super helpful. But without further ado, what I think is the best show to show people who are new to anime is Death Note. I'm going to explain my reasoning by using my checklist. The first thing on the checklist is a pretty obvious criteria. Is it good? I can say with 100% certainty, yes, Death Note is good. It's excellent. A story about a guy who acquires a notebook that can kill people by writing their names in it and goes on a personal mission to purge the entire world from evil, and then gets into this life and death psychological chess game with a genius detective and the police. I mean, it's freaking amazing. Death Note will have you at the edge of your seat and make you excited and hyped over a guy eating a potato chip. It's considered an all-time classic for a reason. The next criteria is it short? Now, this is also pretty important because nobody wants to start an anime or a show that's like 400 episodes long. No, most people are not willing to make that kind of commitment on a first time thing. So it's important to have a show that's considerably short. Usually around 12 to like 40 episodes. Death Note is 37 episodes, and each episode is about 20 minutes long. So you'll be able to watch it incredibly fast. And since it's really good, you'll be able to actually binge the show in a relatively short time. So that makes it really good for a newcomer. The next thing on the criteria or checklist is actually pretty important, and I'm not too sure many people actually think about this, but you gotta ask yourself if this anime is accessible, if you can easily find it on a streaming service or on the internet, because a lot of times anime is, well, pretty scattered. It's pretty hard to find something unless, of course, you pirate it. But I'm not. We're not gonna be supporting that here, at least not officially. So you gotta ask yourself if you could easily find the show. In most cases, you're gonna be looking for if this is on like Netflix or Hulu or whatever. Mostly on Netflix. If it's on Netflix, then that's accessible. Then like your friend will most probably be able to watch it. It's because you don't want to have your friend like scouring all over the place, like trying to find it. If it's really hard for them to like even watch the show, they're probably not going to do it. You got to make it as easy as possible for them. In the case with Death Note, it's on Netflix. In fact, the reason why I got into anime was because I had a Netflix subscription back when I was like 12. It was like summer vacation. My mom just got a Netflix subscription for the first time, and that's how I started watching anime. I discovered it through uh, Netflix, basically. So I think you gotta ask, is it accessible? Is it on Netflix? If it is, then you're good to go for that part of the checklist. Last but not least on the checklist is it jarring? What I mean by that is, if you showed the content of the show to someone, would it be jarring to them? Because there are a lot of anime that, well, is very distinctly different from typical Western shows. Obviously, it's a completely new medium. It's from another country, a completely different culture. So there are going to be differences, but I'm talking specifically about like very radical differences. So anything that has heavy like anime stereotypes, I'm just trying to name a few, like a lot of fan service. Anything that has to do with harems, anything that has to do with lollies, actually, you should not be watching that regardless. Anything that has annoying stereotypical tsundere characters, basically anything that would make you feel like a neckbeard watching it, you should probably avoid showing to your friend or to someone new to anime until they get like more comfortable with it. Especially like weird concepts, like shows with like really weird concepts. You probably should avoid showing it to them until they get more used to it, and then it's like a gradual process of like, okay, unlocking more and more like outlandish premises. Also, this is more optional, but you might want to look at the art style. You might want to go for something more toned down, realistic looking than something that's more cutesy, like and stereotypically anime style. But that's not necessary. That's just like something you might need to consider. Another thing to note actually about if it's jarring or not is if the show has English dub, because a lot of people will probably not want to like read subs at the beginning. It usually happens like this where when you start off anime you just watch dubs and then you slowly start to watch like the subtitled versions. But yeah, most people on the first time would probably want to watch the dub, so that's also something to consider is if the anime has a dub. In the case for Death Note, in my opinion, it's not jarring. It's probably the least jarring anime that you could watch. Aside from like the supernatural elements of like being able to kill someone with a notebook and like the uke and a tiny little bit of fan service from Misa Misa, almost the entire thing is actually pretty grounded. It's actually very similar to a lot of Western shows. You know, a lot of police detective shows are very popular um, in the West, so it's actually kind of close to that. It's not very different, aside from the fact that it's obviously 20 times better than your typical detective Law and Order show. The art also is very toned down, very realistic looking. Also, Death Note has a pretty good dub, so that's also helpful for it not being jarring. Anyway, that's all of them. There you have it. That's why I think personally Death Note is a perfect beginner's anime. It's short, it's accessible, it's not jarring, and it's very good. Hopefully, my suggestion and my criteria slash checklist helped you find that perfect anime to start with. If anyone has any suggestions about anime for beginners, you know, any like veterans out there, feel free to put that in the comments. Yeah, hopefully this will help. Thank you for watching. See you next time.